Good morning and welcome to Political Voices on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. Political Voices is a session of comments, interviews and analysis of current issues on how it affects and shapes the world around us. Today is Thursday, the 26th day of September 2019, and for a time check it is 2 minutes past 9. My name is Alex Obodo. Today on Political Voices our focus is on harnessing Nigeria's foreign investment potentials, concerns, and the way forward. Before we get into the discussions, there are a few matters arising from the polity. The Nigerian government is yet to release the detained publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoyele Sowore, despite receiving an affidavit of compliance to the court order directing his release on Wednesday morning. Marshal Abubakar, lawyer with the chambers of Mr. Sowore's lead counsel, Femi Falana, told Premium Times on Wednesday night that they left the office of the Nigeria State Security Service late on the Wednesday night without Mr. Sowore. This was despite the court order which had instructed an immediate release of the respondent. Moving ahead, Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has threatened to sue Google over false allegations made against him on YouTube page. A video report published on September 20th on the video sharing site by Roots TV Nigeria alleged that Mr. Osinbajo used federal agencies under his supervision as vice president to stack funds for 2023 general elections. The allegation is based mainly on a claim made by Kachi Onanuju, described in the report as a political analyst. Mr. Onanuju in the Roots TV report said there is an anticipation that Mr. Osinbajo will run for president in 2023. The vice president's lawyer said in the letter to Google that the report was untrue and defamatory. And finally, the Process and Industrial Development on Wednesday, that is P&ID, on Wednesday denied offering to negotiate with the federal government over a recent contentious judgment of the United Kingdom which affirmed that it is owed $9.6 billion by Nigeria. This came as both Nigeria and the firm are set for a legal showdown in a push by the federal government to have the controversial judgment set aside in the UK court today. The P&ID's denial of an out-of-court negotiation with Nigeria over the judgment followed media reports that it made the offer to have talks with the federal government after its conviction for fraud, tax evasion, and other sundry offences by the Federal High Court, Abuja, on September 19th. These are some of the matters arising from the polity, and of course this PID report is probably one of the things we will have to go through during the discourse of the program this morning. Political Voices is live on Facebook, 925 Dream FM on Facebook. Remember to drop your comments on our timeline. And on WhatsApp, you can send us a message on 0902 0020925. And of course, don't forget our Twitter handle on Dream FM 925. Stay with us. Okay, yes, I will. This is Political Voices, and as we go forward, Nigeria is endowed with rich human and natural resources. Given this wealth in economic potentials, it is ironical that Nigeria is still rated as one of the poorest economies in the world. In fact, some studies say that Nigeria is the world's poverty capital. It's possibly different strokes for different folks. But this morning, before I introduce my guests, just a few days ago, the president made very stern remarks regarding the P&ID saga and said that Nigeria will not tolerate any move by any organization or group trying to scam Nigeria. So he sent a strong message in New York. So it demonstrated something that the federal government wants to take the matter head on. And today, Nigeria is going headlong into that matter in London. There are lawyers who are already in London to get that going. But this morning, our focus is on harnessing Nigeria's foreign investment potentials. We'll find out what it takes to get there. Is it something we can wish for and have it, or is it something we'll have to work hard to get? This morning, I'm joined by Dr. Maxwell Menkiti Ngene. He's a senior lecturer, Department of Mass Communication, Renaissance University. He is also the public relations officer of the university, if you like, you can call him the orator of the university. That's what it is. Dr. Ngene is an informed speaker on issues of national significance. Good morning, Mr. Ngene.
Thank you very much, Alex. My pleasure being here this morning.
All right. We also have in the studio Dr. Kenneth Nwoye. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka. He is a consultant with UNDP. Good morning, Dr. Nwoye. Now, so, Dr. Maxwell Ngene, when we talk about Nigeria's potentials, what readily comes to your mind?
Thank you very much. A lot comes to my mind because we know that when we talk about harnessing the foreign investment potentials of our country, we are talking about a departure from the monolithic economy that we have continued to enjoy, the overdependence on oil and gas for our petrodollars, rather than looking at ways of, diversifying our economy. So when we talk about that, we are saying that, hey, we need to look for other ways of creating wealth. We need to look for other ways of reducing poverty, because it is no longer fashionable for us as a country to continue to depend solely on oil, because we do know that Nigeria is the 6th largest producer of oil in the world. So we are now talking about what is it that we are not doing in the area of agriculture, particularly what is it that we are not doing with agriculture and allied agro-allied industries. What are we doing about in our mining sector? How come we are over-reliant on oil? How is it that we've not looked at sports as an earner of foreign exchange? How come we are not looking at the issue of tourism, as the hospitality industry, as something that can also help to bring funds? More so now that our country, Nigeria, is coming out of recession. Some say we are still in recession. Nobody knows what. So we are, when we talk about exploring or harnessing the foreign investment potentials of our country, it's a departure from what had been the norm. It's a departure from this over-reliance on oil. So that's exactly what I understand by that.
All right, Dr. Ken Nwoye, when we talk about these potentials, I'm sure there are things that form a dialogue box in your mind, or dialogue boxes in your mind. What are those?
Well, first of all, what is foreign investment? What do we mean by foreign investment? Foreign investment are those investments that come from one country, particularly through transnational corporations, into another country. It's part of international trade, and therefore it's a very important aspect of globalization. So when we talk of foreign investment potentials, we are looking at ways and means to which a particular country explores the opportunities that are inherent in that particular country. As my colleague has just said, over the years, Nigeria has depended primarily on oil and gas as major foreign exchange. The implication of this is that Nigeria is a monocultural dependent economy. And being a monocultural dependent economy, the prospects have been very worrisome, and the past has been so disastrous for the country, in the sense that without oil, Nigeria cannot survive easily as a country. And that means that we are putting all our eggs in one basket. It has been a very woeful experience for us because over the years we've not been able to tap other vital areas of the economy, particularly in the areas of agriculture and agro-allied industrialization. This is one area Nigeria has one of the greatest potentials as a country, considering our very arable land, considering the fact that we're in the tropics, considering the fact that we're a large country with huge population that are ready to work. And that is why it's a very dangerous prospect to continue to depend on oil and gas. But the problem is that harnessing these potentials are not very easy, actually. Part of the problem has to do with kind of leadership we've had over the years. We have a leadership that is a rentier leadership. Rentier means that the leaders depend on oil rents, and therefore they don't compel themselves to look at other sources of income. And then secondly, also we find out that we've not been able to provide the basic infrastructure that will push foreign direct investment into Nigeria. When you talk of foreign investment, you don't just get it easily. It's not given. That's one thing we have to realize. You have to work towards that. You have to create a very conducive environment in your country that will now compel foreigners to come in and invest. Where the conditions are inclement and unconducive, as in Nigeria, you discover that it's going to be very difficult. Look at the level of infrastructural decay in this country. Look at the roads, look at the rail line, look at the security problems we've had over the years, and most importantly, look at the policy discontinuity. It's so discouraging to foreign investment, and that's why we should, be more proactive when we talk of foreign investment potential. It's not something that is there for us to go and take, the way it's being couched in discussion. You have to work towards making it realizable. And that means putting Nigerians to work, putting your country in an efficient, effective, and productive way.
All right. So looking at your opening remarks, both Dr. Maxwell and Dr. Moye, you agree that there is something going on with us. One is neglecting agriculture, and two is the distraction from oil. So is it safe to say, or correct to say, that oil has brought its own problems? In this part of the world, there's something they say about cassava. And yes, it is cassava. So that cassava came to separate a fight and took the whole battle. So just like oil, so oil was discovered, and then we made away with everything that we had to do with agriculture. The granite pyramids are gone. So, but let's take another look. How did countries like China, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia, how did they get it right? Because some of these countries actually came here to collect palm seedlings. So they are doing well. Dr. Maxwell Ngene, is it rocket science for us to get it right, irrespective of who is in charge? Isn't there supposed to be some kind of blueprint that will guide the development of the nation, both long-term, medium-term, and even on the immediate term?
Yes, you're right. You're right. No, the point we've tried to make is that as a country, we appear not to have truly come to terms with what we can do, what we can achieve through agriculture, because we began to earn enormous resources from oil. There's this overdependence where successive regimes, successive governments began to shy away from an area that used to offer Nigeria its highest foreign resources. I recall that very early, about 1960, during our independence, oil could not even account for 1% of our earnings. Then we were earning more money through the granite pyramids, our granules, our cocoa, and even the palm oil from the south. So those things changed because of the overdependence on oil. It's not rocket science. What we are saying is that we need to have a rethinking. We need to begin to understand that we can't become a developed country without making appropriate investment, and without also thinking about the right policies, and the right motivation, so as to attract people, to come and invest in our country. For instance, when Dr. Moye had said it all, when he talked about the epileptic nature of our power supply, electricity, our bad roads, the insecurity, why is it that we're even talking about harnessing our investment potentials? It is because of the decadent nature of things in our country. It is because of the inequality. It is because of the unemployment level. Our youths are largely unemployed. And this is part of the reason why we are having insecurity. That is why we are being regarded as a country that is wealthy with very poor people. That is why some people have likened our country to the poverty capital of the world. And these are not very good remarks, or it's no credit to our nation. So it's not rocket science. We can emulate, but the point is that over the years we've had bad leaders. We have our problem as a country had been a leadership problem. We have seen people who believes in themselves and their families alone. They travel all over the world. They can't borrow a leaf. They can't learn and export what they have seen into our country. That has been the major problem. Because if you look at it, Nigeria has about 93 square hectares, kilometers, and that we've been told through research that about 91 square kilometers of that land is arable, that we can cultivate in it. And what it means is that as a country, we must understand that agriculture will continue to be a fundamental instrument if we need to overcome our problems, if we need to develop as a nation.
All right. So I will ask you the same question, Dr. Moye. China, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia, they have a lot of things in common with Nigeria. When we talk about, a lot of those countries have a tropical feel to their climate. So what are they doing differently?
Well, you have to realize that any sustainable development future requires three things. First of all, you have to have a very good leadership, an inspiring leadership. It's so important. And then secondly, you have to carry people along. No policy works without the people. Policy is predicated on having effective popular mobilization. And then thirdly, you have to create a sustainable environment that will make that policy effective and efficient in the short, medium, and long term. So when we look at these three complements, you find out that in Nigeria we don't have that. We don't have the conducive environment is not there. Secondly, we have a very long leadership deficit. Our leaders have not been able to articulate a program of action, not just in agriculture, a program of national transformation. That's what Nigeria needs. It's not just a question of agriculture. It's a question of trying to create a new nation from what we have now. Because as things stand now, Nigeria is totally in disarray. You can't talk of being a nation when you have a lot of insurrections and insurgents here and there. When you talk of deep, parochial animosities within the country. So when you look at all these things, why these countries you mentioned have done very well for themselves is because they have been very clear-sighted about what they want to achieve. Then secondly, they create policies and programs that is carried through from one administration to the other. Unlike in Africa, where one leader comes in, destroys the policy of the other regime, comes with a new set of policy, and after some time, another person comes in, and then you find there's no continuity in policy and policy programming. And that affects the performance of an economy. Because what it does is sets a bad signal to foreign investors that there's no policy continuity and there's high level of inconsistency when it comes to the policies and programs. And then you have to look at the enabling environment. which these countries have. Singapore is one of the best governed countries in the world. Forget even China. China has done incredibly well for themselves. They've lifted over 700 million out of poverty since 1970. And is set to overtake America in the next 10, 20 years. And that's why America is fighting tooth and nail, to draw China back, creating artificial barriers and trade wars so that they will slow down China. Trump has done that extremely well, but it's not going to be easy because China has set itself a very wonderful economic structure that is carried through ever since Chairman Mao up to Deng Xiaoping and then now Xi Jinping. So you find that they have a clear, policy, and you have to realize that the leaders are so patriotic. They believe in their country. Once you have leaders that are not deeply committed to national values, it becomes very easy for that country to derail. But where you have leaders that are deeply committed, they share a sense of national agenda. No matter the circumstance, then it means that that country will certainly go a long way. And that is why it is not the question of rocket science doesn't mean that there's nothing rocket about it. Development is all about sustainability. Where you don't sustain it, it can't work. That's why China is a wonderful place. Why I cite China a lot is that they've been able to create all these things through adopting a strong self-reliant economy. There are very little China imports. The economy was deliberately structured as an export-dependent economy, not import-dependent, like that of Nigeria. So when you look at all these things, you find that we have a long way to go, but we can make a fresh start if we are serious. The point is that we are not even making that start now.
It's correct. All right.
In addition to what he has said, what part of the problem we have as a country is political instability. Endemic and pervasive corruption. In our country, we see that the social conditions are very bad physical infrastructure. And to the extent that our leaders are only thinking of how to steal, they are not thinking of how to carry people along, to be pro-people, because government exists because of human beings.
Yeah, you talked about being pro-people, and he cited the example of China, because China, it does appear, has mastered the art of using the human capital that is in abundance in China.
Yes.
And that's why every factory, every big industry in the world wants to have a production chain in China.
Even America.
But then, how do we get that kind of example in Nigeria? Because we've talked about the workability of some of these things. We have the people that can work, that are qualified, but why are we not putting them to work? By why are we not, I mean, why are the people whose duty it is to get these people to work, why are they not getting them to work?
Thank you very much. Just like we have said, it has to do with having a clear vision as a country. Our country, we have a problem in our leadership. People of Nigeria do not even see themselves as people that belong to one united, prosperous nation. In our country, if we need to get it right, we need to begin to think about improved investment climate. We need to begin to think about reform processes. We need to begin to think about policy changes, a departure from what we have been doing until now. We need to begin to provide an environment that is conducive to private investment. You see, at independence, for instance, in 1960, Nigeria was leading exporter of groundnut, like I said earlier. Nigeria at the time accounted for 16 and 43% of world cocoa and palm oil production. We were then self-sufficient in terms of domestic food production. But this is not what is happening now. We need to go back to what had been during the regional, when Nigeria was in regions, talking about the eastern region, western region, etc. That is why a lot of Nigerians have been talking about the dysfunctional nature of our country, that we need to do a restructuring of our country. We need to begin to talk about meritocracy rather than quota. These are part of the problems. And because of the problem of insurgency, that's a very serious issue, because nobody would want to invest in a climate where that person is not sure of his safety, the safety of his investment. We need to also begin to think about the perception of people regarding our judicial system. We need to begin to make pronouncements that are consistent with what obtains in civilized societies. This is the problem of our country. And as a nation, leaders must begin to think about Nigerians as human beings rather than looking at them as objects. It is because of it that you see when people are killed, every day you open the radio, you read the newspaper, you watch the television, you're hearing about deaths, killings, as if life had become, nothing. This is part of the problem. So for these things to change, there must be a rethinking. The right people must be used to do the work. That is, like now, you saw what had happened. President Muhammad Buhari suddenly have changed his economic team, which is something that is good. But this should have happened during his first tenure. But like the Igbos will say, like Dr. Nwoye had said, Tatam Kabubo, So let's hope that we can get it right from now.
Okay, then this is Political Voices at 92.5, Enugu's Dream FM. We are live on Facebook, 925 Dream FM. This morning we are looking at harnessing Nigeria's foreign investment potentials. In the studio with me this morning is Dr. Maxwell Menkitingene. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of Mass Communication, Renaissance University. And we also have in the studio Dr. Kenneth Nwoye, senior lecturer, UNIZIK. He's also here. We will be taking calls and I will take messages from WhatsApp and Facebook and Twitter. So the numbers to call 0902 0020925 or 0809 8888925. Hello, good morning. What's the name and location? Your name is? Sorry, say it again. All right, you're welcome. All right. Emma, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. 0902 0020925. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location? David, you're welcome.
Good morning.
You see, my take this morning, Alex, I want to ask a question. Can you just look at what
David, I don't answer questions here. I ask them.
No problem. My solution for today is the analysis there.
Yes.
The educational system in Nigeria, therefore, has been properly articulated. We all know that Nigerians always have qualifiable. And even as that, when there's no problem about that, how is a Nigerian leader has an articulate policy that can take us to the promised land? A situation where the environment are not ready for the youth who are even seeing the trending situation at hand to invest in it, focus to make an estimate of what is going to happen to bring the country to the promised land. And we are busy waiting the old players who are not even thinking the present. We run and Ghana money with the money that come out from the oil and they go home and forget about the future. So the consideration of Nigeria becoming poor is going to continue because I am not the president, but I'm so persuaded about what is going on in the country that they're not going to get it right because there is no articulate policy and there is no way we are going to make progress. There is no way with Nigeria has not even tried to just look at our budget in the agriculture and let us very this time. There is no program. The youth in Turkey should even get money to invest in himself in a small scale business. Even sharing himself or herself out from the government employment.
David.
But here in Nigeria, if you graduate and if you graduate, now say and even waiting for you.
Thank you.
God will come and help you.
David.
Because don't know who
David, thank you so much for your thoughts. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Political Voices. What's your name and location?
My name is David.
David, you're welcome. All right. Thank you, David.
We love him
Yeah,
too.
we love you too.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
I'm sorry.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Good morning, House.
Good morning, Ms. Odazi.
I'm talking as I went to study this on my phone. That's why we keep putting, we take one step forward and then we take it backwards. Having said that, see, all of us must take responsibility for what is happening in our country. We can't just keep moaning. We must accept the fact that we have a still-time citizenry that does not know how to
Oh, okay. We lost Odaze from Ila.
Yeah.
But of course, we'll take some messages on Facebook. We'll have Godwin Victor Anton says, "Good morning, Dream FM. Nigeria is no more the country I know. They say that youths are lazy. Let them create industries and companies so that the youths will be active. Imagine a graduate riding Okada. I'm not against South Africa for maltreating Nigerians." Wow, that's a bit odd. All right, then. Adoni Kechidora Kingsley says, if Nigeria is serious in attracting investment, she needs to improve on developing her comparative advantage. That is, labor. But what do we have? We give all our attention to crude oil, which is heavily capital intensive, thereby leaving our country, leaving our army of labor to lie unemployed. And we have another one here from Stephen Bami. He said, just what INEC said yesterday in Lokoja, Kogi State, that poverty, unemployment, and illiteracy is a huge threat to participatory democracy. This is true because that is what our political leaders want. You will see poor people, unemployed people, and illiterate ones selling their votes for money during elections, and the politicians are very happy about it. This is so pathetic. We'll go back to the phone lines. 0902 0020925. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Political Voices. Emma, you're welcome.
One problem with Nigeria is that we stop development. There are steps of development. Because we saw that the developed nations are capitalist intensive. Because individuals then are controlling factors of production. We don't do it without passing where they pass through. How can we close all our industries? How can we privatize all our employable companies for individuals? And these individuals are looking for profit. You know how many people that lost their job in Nigerian Coal Corporation, in Nigerian Railway Corporation, in the Premier Railway, in the Conic, in Niger State, and the rest of it. We privatize all those industries for individuals, and those individuals want to take maximum profit. How can we develop? How many people are getting employment? Before, if you have grade 1 or the future in our end, we are not employers.
All right.
PIC will not take it.
All right.
Corporation will not take it.
Emma,
Because you are the potential for the youth parties.
Emma, thank you.
It's only the youth parties that are working. How many people are being employed in the parties?
Emma, thank you. So we can accommodate other people. All right. Let's take a message from WhatsApp. Good morning, gentlemen in the studio. If Nigeria should migrate from developing economy to developed economy, our politicians should fulfill their campaign promises towards diversification of the Nigerian economy. Right, you didn't tell us your name. More messages here. We will take them in due course. I think we'll take more phone calls. 090 00 09020 090. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location?
Yes, Pastor Auntie Joseph.
All right.
I'm reaching you from Ayam Elmo in Anambra State.
Okay.
Precisely.
You're welcome.
Yeah, precisely. Let me first of all appreciate the big guest in the studio. You've actually done a very wonderful analysis.
Thank you.
I think I have to align myself with the solutions. What will happen in this country is leaders that don't actually have the people in their minds. For instance, by this time around, why are we still importing crude oil? Does it mean that the country cannot come up with more refineries? Because it can do that. Then what is the will of our leaders towards that? That is the problem. Then the issue of power that can engage the youth in meaningful jobs. What are we doing to that effect? Continue to defeat Nigerians, coming up with fictitious programs and projects. So if we can have visionary leaders that can sit down and think of the progress of this country, then I tell you, Nigeria will get better. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much for a call from Anyamelum. We'll come back to the studio to actually thrash a few issues raised. Some of the issues you have raised here in the studio have also been raised by the callers. Infrastructure, policy, leadership, all these things are rolled into one. Dr. Ken Mui, it does appear that the problem is actually bigger than we think it is. Because if you don't have people coming into your country to invest, it sends a message that maybe even people in the inside are not finding things funny. What needs to be set here before we can invite outsiders to come and enjoy some of the largesse if we have them?
Well, when you look at the array of views submitted by callers, you discover that Nigerians are deeply unhappy about their country. There's no denying that fact. This is simply because things have not been working well in this country over the past 50 years. And it is becoming more complicated for us to make amends because of the fact that the leadership has been so, uninspiring. We heralded democracy with a sense of optimism and hope. And then from 1999, the dividends of democracy have continued to trickle down very slowly. Nigerians, the lives of Nigerians have not improved substantially. So when you look at this, I don't know where we need to start because there are so many complex problems that are delivering the country. But to suggest a way out, the most important thing is to have effective leadership. Effective leadership. Leadership is all that matters in development. As said it all, that Nigeria's problem is squarely a failure of leadership. And I agree with him. Because when you have a strong leadership that has a truly national patriotic project, every other thing can fall in line. But where you have a wobbly leadership that is not sure of its policies and programs, then it means that we can't get anywhere. So what we need first of all is to have effective leadership. Create a very conducive environment by improving on infrastructure. Because you can't develop a country without infrastructure. Infrastructure drives the economy. You have to improve the road facilities in a very long-term way. Not when you build one road. Move from Enugu to Okana. You see, you go through all the inland communities from Enugu down to Oka. If you are coming by, you repeat the same process. Look at the 1 hour wasted along Amansi Uguoba Road. Nigerians go through terrible suffering. And these are things that can easily be remedied. It doesn't require talking of rocket science. Building road is a basic amenity. Just like providing potable water. Many Nigerians don't have access to potable water. The whole of Independence Lab. Improving healthcare for your population. So that when foreign investors want to come in, they assess these things. They are not fools. They look at the quality of lives of the citizens.
So this is where we talk about ease of doing business, because you can't talk about harnessing your foreign investment potentials without talking about the ease of doing business in your country.
Yes.
I would like to bring in Dr. Maxwell in this particular conversation. How do we get it going? Because I'm sure there are companies that were in Nigeria in the last 15 years, 20 years that had to go because the heat became too much, not because they don't like the kitchen.
Yes.
So how do we get ourselves and put our act together that things will start working, especially with the policies? We've talked about having good leadership, having good policies, but if the institutions that are supposed to power these things are not present, we're talking about strong institutions now, not strong men. How do we get the two working together?
Thank you very much. Well, today's program is very good because I think we no longer need any angelic visitation to make us to begin to retrace our steps and begin to think of how to develop as a nation. You know, one of the major problems our country have had is the issue of 419. The perception of Nigeria and Nigerians is that we are very corrupt people. And that had done so much damage to us in terms of our image, in terms of our reputation, even in the global arena. What it means is that we must begin to change as a people to be seen as people who are good enough for people to relate with us. That is why people seem not to understand the level of damage that had caused us. It's only when you travel abroad, you see how Nigerians are received at the international airports, how we are visited with intolerable treatments, then you begin to understand. That is part of the reason why a lot of people not only leave our country for elsewhere or alternative grounds, but refusing to do business with us because they see us as fraudulent people, the people who are not going to do things the way it should be done. However, even those in government, Nigerians see political positions as a platform for personal enrichment. We need to begin to put our country first. We need to begin to think about the future of Nigerians, the future of our children, and that of the generation to come. When we begin to think about that, I'll begin to do things right, begin to bring the right caliber of people to sit in and tinker with policy directions, plan programs of actions that will bring direct foreign investment into our country, then we'll be making headway. The problem had continued to be, like we have continued to happen, bad leadership. Alex, if you look at the way leaders emerge in our country, you will see that it's flawed. Most times, people that are sincere, people that have prepared themselves to take up leadership positions are not reckoned with. Majority of them have no resources to pursue their political ambitions. At times when people want to vie for political positions, they are afraid because they do not belong to the power structure. Those that belong to the powers that be are the ones that determine who gets what, when, how. And this is not really right. There's a need for equitable distribution of wealth. There's a need for the fairness doctrine to be imbibed by those who occupy leadership positions. This is part of the problem, to the extent that if you want to become a councillor, if you want to become a chairman, if you want to run for the House of Assembly, you'll be afraid because you suddenly realize that you may never get through because you've not been ordained.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Nwoye, there is another issue looming, and that is, we talked about continuity of government. But here in Nigeria, for instance, we have two major political parties that each time anyone takes over, it blames the other. And in the US, for instance, you don't get any disruptions in their visa policy as soon as Republicans take over or the Democrats take over. The visa policy remains consistent. It only shifts maybe, they only shift the amount of money they charge you for the visas, or they make it even stricter in terms of how you get the visas. But they don't shut down things and blame the previous administration for it.
Blame game.
The blame game. So our political institutions have some kind of a share of the blame, how they have either conducted business or how they have gone about the business. How do we sort out this thing and have some kind of consistency that even if political party A or political party B is in power in Nigeria, there should be basic things that must be on the table and no one should take it away? Because those are the things that will make Nigeria think.
Much. I think we have to, I've said it here times without number, that we have fundamental problem with institution building. We've not had credible institutions over the years, and it has impacted negatively on the quality of governance in this country. Governance is all about institutions. Where you have very good institutions that are strong and fair and with integrity, things are better managed. That is why we call these countries of Europe developed countries, America developed countries, because of institutions. In our own case, we will not even be able to establish enough institutions. And they have been generally weak and difficult to sustain. So the way we have to go is to try to enrich these institutions, create a strong prosecutorial system that will make it effective for these institutions to work, create effective law enforcement, and let these things be, followed through from one administration to another. It's not a question of one administration coming in and then turning the policy upside down, and then leaving another one comes in again and start all over again. That policy somersault cannot help any country, and that's why we need to have credible institutions. And to make institutions work, you need effective rule of law. Institutions cannot work without rule of law. There must be effective rule of law that gives everybody a sense of fairness and equity in the process of governance. That is what we need most. And let me remind you, when we talk of institutions, you have to also look at one area. Part of why Nigeria has, and African countries have severe problems of governance has to do with the dynamics of corruption and the values we place on corruption. One is that every country is corrupt, including America. Every country is corrupt. But what makes Africa's corruption so insidious and devastating is that we take this money out from our African continent and then keep it in Western banks. As a result of that, the funds that are supposed to trickle down and help sustain the economy, help develop the continent, is being moved away. So because of excessive capital flight, Africa is being drained of the internal energy, financial structure required to develop the continent. That is why it's also a question of value. Because of that, you find that these countries, African countries, cannot sustain any development policy and program.
All right. I think we should take one call or two. 0902 0020925. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Political Voices. What's your name and location?
Thank you. My name is Dr.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Marcel.
Now, let me ask the next question. In this country, we have a dictionary that our leaders have been projecting for years now. What they have any. It's not rightly said about this country is our country. I think the former leaders who have had some of them have come and gone. But another problem is also policy somersault. Most of them come, they don't like maintaining the policy that other governments have worked out, or they come and start bringing their own policy. Such a thing for me doesn't move the country forward. But if at all we want to take care of our problem, like the in America,
Marcel, Hello, all right. Wanted to tell him that the cock behind him has been answering his questions. Wasn't paying attention. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location? Please keep it brief, okay? All right then. Okay, then we got your point. True federalism. We'll come back here. We'll have a minute each for two of you. I'll start with Dr. Maxwell again. In a minute, let's have your final words. What are we supposed to do to start getting it right from this point?
All we need to do is to introduce right policies and supportive investments at our local and national levels. We need to improve the regulatory framework. We need to start investing more in physical and human capital development. We need to foster linkages and local industrial capacity. We need to strengthen our institutions that deal with investment and related issues. When we begin to do that, and more importantly, we must understand that agriculture offers numerous opportunities as well as challenges. It is vital to economic growth. It is also a solution to mass poverty and food insecurity.
All right. Thank you so much. Dr. Ken Moy, your final thoughts?
Okay. The most important thing we need to do is to improve the governance quality in this country. It's very important. And how do you improve governance quality? You have to ensure that an integrity system exists. Without an effective integrity system, in all the facets of governance, the governance quality cannot improve. And then secondly, you have to make the governance sustainable. To make governance sustainable, you have to be accountable. You have to be transparent. And then finally, we need to establish a strong, a more dispersed federal system. There's too much concentration of power at the center. That's why the last caller made a very salient point. We're not running a true federal system. What we are running is a unitary system disguised as federal system.
All
And
right.
it's so amorphous. How can you run a country, you stay at Abuja, you make policies, you don't monitor the policies, you allocate funds, billions. Nobody accounts for them. Go to local government, you don't see anything except the local government.
All
There's
right.
no country that is run that way.
Okay. Then.
That country survives.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kenneth Moy. Dr. Maxwell Ngene, thank you so much for coming. Senior Lecturer, Department of Mass Communication, Renaissance University. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
thoughts.
for inviting me.
And Dr. Ken Moy, Senior Lecturer, UNIZIC. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time. I'd like to end after thanking my producer, Okyodogu. There is a line from Nelly Ochendo's song. It says, "Come, let us make a new Nigeria." My name is Alex Obodo. The Dream FM News is coming up at 10. Good morning.